What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Celtics Chronicle. As usual, I'm your boy Adam Taylor. If you're new here and you're wondering who the hell this English guy is, I cover the team for the Celtics blog of SB Nation, for USA Today, and I've been around covering the team a little bit in terms of podcast form for Blue Wire Podcasts. I've been on Bleacher Report live streams. I've been around for a minute. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Wayne Breezy Brown, covers the San Francisco 49ers and the Boston Celtics. And you'll see him over on Bleacher Report quite regularly doing live streams. What's going on today, Wayne?
What's going on, bro, man? It's good to be here. It's good to talk Celtics with you, man. It's been a minute. I've been endowed in that football season, but it's good to talk Celtics basketball at the greatest time, too. It's playoff time. Round 2 about to kick off. We finally get our opponents. Bring on the Cavs, baby. Bring on the Cavaliers.
Yo, just like they were just chanting, "We want Boston."
I
Have you
heard it.
seen that?
Yeah,
And
bro, they have not learned from the last
be
team
careful
that
what you
chanted,
wish
"We
for,
want
man.
Boston."
Be
Don't
careful
worry.
what you wish for.
Yeah, don't worry. Boston will give it to you, baby. They will give it to you.
Do you know what's mad? It's like you've just watched them handle the Heat, right? So they gentlemen sweep the Heat 4-1. They hold the Heat to under 100 points in 4 of those 5 games. Of those 4 games, they hold them to under 90 points on three occasions. So now you're telling me that the Cleveland Cavaliers, that during the postseason rank, and I've got the numbers here, 15th out of 16th. So there's 16 teams in the playoffs. Only one team's worse than them on offense right now, which is the Pelicans. And obviously, we know how that ended. They're averaging 98.9 points per 100 possessions. And you want Boston, the team with the third best defense in the playoffs. The team with, is it the first? Where are they? Third best offensive rating in the playoffs. The team that dominated during the regular season. That's the team that you want.
That's what
That's
they want.
wild to me, bro. I don't understand how you can feel so confident after barely scraping past the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, man. Listen, not to throw slight to the Orlando Magic, man. They're a young team. They're up and coming, and they're going to be around for a while. But it's clear, present danger that the Boston Celtics, the best team in basketball, and their record says so. And it didn't matter who they played against. I felt like they might have struggled against some of those Western Conference teams. That might have been by design as well. They had their fair share against some of the juggernauts in the Eastern Conference, but again, the separation was ridiculous. There's nothing I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers can do that's going to affect Boston. I mean, they're going to come out, they're going to score because they have a guy named Donovan Mitchell. I'm sorry, he's just one of the top players in the NBA, and he's going to do what he does, baby. But at the end of the day, you look at the rest of the roster, they're going to have to help him out. Strus is going to have to hit threes. Darius Garland's going to have to find a way to get more points and hit threes because he's not going to be able to score on the inside. I mean, Caris LeVert's going to have to get. He got some good points off the bench. He's going to have to score. Not worried about Tristan Thompson because he could barely jump. I'm not. It's just. And if Jarrett Allen to me is the key because if he's there, it forces the Boston Celtics. It shifts how they change their offense. Like, you know what I'm saying? And how they try to attack the paint. It's hard to score inside, but that doesn't mean that Boston can't find a way to stay aggressive. This, my brother Adam, is the series I expect to see my man Drew show up and show out. I feel like the matchup is a little different. You could put Drew on Donovan Mitchell, a little bigger size. Let Derek. It all depends on how Missoula sees it. But this is going to be a great matchup for Drew Holiday, and this is probably the series where he's going to be able to get his and get off. And so I'm excited, man. I'm super excited.
So I'm going to hit on 2 points that you just mentioned. The first one was the way that Jarrett Allen being on the floor changes the way a team plays offense against them just because of the rim protection and explosiveness. So the Cavs during the regular season were 18th in the NBA for rim attempts allowed. So teams were taking around about 33.6% of their offense down by the rim. The reason the Cavs did this was because they knew they had Jarrett Allen protecting the rim and Evan Mobley being able to rotate over as a help defender who's 7 foot something that's going to just put an arm in your face from wherever the hell he is on the floor, right? They're third in the league in rim protection, allowing teams to shoot 62.8%. So they're one of the best rim protecting teams, and they trap you into wanting to attack because they make it easy for you to get downhill and get to that rim. And that's by design, right? So one of the things that this plays into for Boston is the fact that the Cavs aren't really a great 3-point defensive team. They're 21st in the NBA throughout the regular season, allowing teams to shoot 37.7%. And for a team like Boston that's got a whole drive and kick predicated offense anyway, drive the paint, draw the defense, make the collapse, make the read out of that, and then kick the ball around until you find the open shot or the secondary drive, and then kick out and make reads that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to play into the Celtics' advantage. Yeah, okay, we understand it's going to be hard to get downhill and score around the rim, but it's really not, because you're going to have guys cutting off the baseline. You've got so many shooters, and it's one thing being able to help off of teams where they've only got one or two offensive threats. We're talking about a team that's got 6 guys that could genuinely be an all-star consideration every year.
Good point.
So it's very hard when you've got that much spacing around you and that much gravity. Everyone you help off of, you're leaving an all-star caliber guy open, or a high-level star or high-level role player open that can cook you. Do you really want to leave Derek White open to rotate over and stop a Jason Tatum drive?
Good point.
Do you want to leave Drew? And you can iterate through this all the way down to Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard. You don't leave those guys open. It's a fool's errand. So defensively, I think Cleveland are going to struggle. Now, if you take Jarrett Allen away from that, maybe he's at 70%, maybe he doesn't play. Now that puts a lot of pressure on Evan Mobley. And for all the guys that loved him coming into the league, he hasn't really developed into that superstar stud level, like do it all big man that everyone was hoping for. So I think you can attack them there. The other thing you mentioned was like matchups, right? So I want to get into this a little bit deeper. But before we do, I got a question. So let's say they do have Jarrett Allen and they run their double big of Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and then you've got Garland and Mitchell and Strus, right? Do you match their size by going double big, or do you stay smaller with Al at the 5 and then stick to the system that got you to where you were throughout the regular season?
If I'm Joe Mazzulla, I stick to the system, right? Because you just gave away the game plan. I hope they're watching this too. You just literally gave away the game plan. You just told me that what the Celtics do, and they do it very well, is they drive and then they kick. Right? They drive and then they kick. They're getting to the rim and then they're kicking it out to a wide open guy. Sometimes the ball is perfectly passed. Sometimes there's a floater in the air. You're like, oh my gosh, please get to the man. Either way, the Celtics are they have a shooter waiting wide open to shoot that shot if the defense does collapse. So this might be good because Porzingis isn't playing and he's not standing around at the 3-point line. So this might actually help work in the Celtics' favor. I think you stick with the system that you have. You continue to play that style of basketball. Derek White can get past Drew. I think Derek White can get past these bigs down at the rim and find a way to finish. He's a great finisher at the rim. I think Drew Holiday down at the rim is a little different, right? He's looking to back you in. He's looking to size you up and use his body and strength, and he still finishes at the rim. So whether these guys drive and kick out, I don't think it matters. I think that's the system, and I think that's what they stick to, whether they go double big or not. And I think the Boston Celtics have the advantage. No matter how you see on the basketball court, they just have to stick and execute their game plan. They can't get to ISO basketball, and to me, that's where it gets a little sideways. Now, if there's a mismatch. If it's a big on a small, you ISO the mother freak out the ball, man. I want to see Al Horford. If Darius Garland is rotating on him somehow, some way, Horford, take the ball to the goddamn paint and do what you do best, baby. That's when the mismatches come into handy. But I think the Celtics need to figure out how to dictate that and how to control that. And that's the control, and I think that's what these players are going to be able to do. And again, I say you man up on Mitchell. You don't help. You let Mitchell cook. If he gets by you, he gets by you. But if you do happen to rotate on Mitchell, you have to make sure that you're spotting up and make sure you get to the Strus guy. Max Strus is the guy that you don't want to heat up. That's the guy that will keep them in a game if you leave him wide open. Just like you talked about us having Sam Hauser wide open or Peyton Pritchard wide open. Guys that definitely can shoot the 3 wide open. That's a Max Strus. You put some defense in his face, it's a little bit different. Do
you know what's wild? And this is really kind of just driving home the point of how deep and how talented the Celtics are. When you're talking about these other teams, right? It doesn't matter if it's Cleveland, doesn't matter if it's Miami. Miami had Duncan Robinson. Cleveland has Max Strus. And everyone's like, yo, you cannot let that one guy get hot because he's going to keep you in a game. The Celtics have 8 of them. Do you know? And that's the difference, right? We were like, yo, we can't let this one guy get hot, and they're like, yo, we can't let one of 8 get hot. There's just such a bigger pool for teams to have to
Good
worry
point.
about, and it makes life really tough, right? And I agree. I think that Max Strus is a guy that can not win you a series, but keep you in a
He
series.
keeps you in it. Yeah, he
Yeah,
keeps
you
you
know,
in it.
if you're down 3-zip and it's a 5-point game in the clutch, and Donovan Mitchell's drawing 2, and Max Strus is the guy that's open, you feel very confident letting him shoot the ball. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Because that's what he does. He's a catch and shoot guy. Problem is, if it's the other way around, you're like, oh shit, there's 8 of them.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
who do I deal with? And this is like, and then going on to the matchups, I like what you said in terms of matchup hunting. That's how Boston bullied Miami throughout that series, and they slowly built on it, right? So they began by switching Tatum onto Bam, getting Bam onto Tatum early, and then they started building out, moving Tatum more and more off ball as the series went on. And what they did then is they started adding in strong side actions on the other side of the floor, guard to guard in empty corners, forcing Bam to rotate over and leaving Tatum open and allowing things to develop that way. Defensively, there was very little cross matching. And for anyone listening that's like, what's cross matching? That's where you have a small start a defensive possession guarding a big. So you'll see that a lot with Drew. We saw it a lot with Drew for the regular season. And it's kind of what I'd expect to start this series as well. Like if Jarrett Allen's playing or Evan Mobley, you start Drew Holiday on one of those guys, because when a pick and roll occurs, Drew's getting switched onto the ball handler. So he's picking up the Darius Garland, he's picking up the Donovan Mitchell, and there's no mismatch on that pick and roll. All of a sudden, you're getting switched on to one of the best on-ball defensive guards in the NBA. And what that also allows you to do is start the series with Jaylen Brown guarding Donovan Mitchell. And then it's like, how's Donovan Mitchell going to use his explosiveness and his like ability to play through contact against somebody that's just as explosive, if not more, and just as strong, if not stronger, in JB? And JB he wants to take on those defensive matchups anyway. So it's kind of a win-win there. So I'm just wondering, would you start there? Would you risk having Drew on a bigger guy, just knowing that pick and roll can happen, but also knowing he could get back down and have to like try and defend the rim against a 7-foot Evan Mobley? You know, there's
Yeah.
pros and cons to this.
Absolutely. And I think some of the cons, to me, you put JB. I'm all for the athleticism. You put JB on Donovan Mitchell, I'm cool. JB has a little bit more size. I would say Mitchell has the quickness and the quick burst, and the smaller size to try to get by him. He also has the dribble, the ball handling moves, and things like that. My only concern about this is JB getting into foul trouble early. So I'm cool for it. I'm cool, especially at the beginning. If that's the look you go for, yes, make it work. If JB doesn't draw a foul, doesn't get it, I'm good. You rock out with it. Like you rock out with it. It's when that happens, and then I expect to see changes. Because you can't win this series. You can't win any series without your 2 main guys out there. And JB's a main guy. I don't care how bad he shoots from the free throw. It's a whole nother conversation. I'm glad he's working on it. Did you hear at practice that they were having booze like simulated in the practice?
That was funny, dude. Like, because those free throws are a problem. And like, I'm gonna be honest.
I don't get it. He's in his own head, Adam. I messaged him. I said, "Listen, dude, you're one of the best players in the NBA. Somehow you got to get out your head, dog. You got to get out your own head."
On IG or on Twitter?
Yeah, I sent them on IG. It's like, dude, you got to get out your own head, yo. I don't know how to. There's no other reason why you're missing free throws, because you didn't have these problems 2-3 years ago. You were hitting your free throws. You were never this poor. But he's in his own head, and he's got to figure out how to get out of it. Everything else he fixed. He fixed his dribble. Turnovers are still up there, but he fixed his dribble. He fixed being able to finish at the rim. He's fixed his 3-point shot got better. It's just his free throws.
He added reads to his game as well. So, like, everyone's talking about his playmaking. He makes the 1 pass away read, the 2 pass away read. I wouldn't say that he's making high level cross court reads out of doubles, but like that's an elite level of playmaking. That was never what you was asking him to do.
That's not him.
And like when it comes to the free throws, it's funny. I was having this conversation the other day with Jason Timpf of Hoops Tonight. I don't know if you watch his show on YouTube. He's dope. But we're talking about the free throws, and I was like, dude, I don't watch free throws. I watch games the next morning, you know.
Gotcha.
I wake up, my scores are turned off on League Pass. I don't know who won. I don't check socials. I turn the game on and I watch it as if it was live. The only difference is I can scrub through I don't have to deal with timeouts. I don't deal with breaks, and I certainly don't deal with free throws. Why the hell am I watching free throws? That's the only time you will ever hear me be like, I check the box score is for free throws.
Got you.
Because it's like, what context am I missing? He went 4 of 9. There's no other context there.
Listen, you see, because you're not watching it live, your stomach isn't going into knots when at the end of a game, if you just hit that one free throw, and you know what I'm saying. So that for the people that watch it like live action, like free throws mean a lot because they're literally free points.
Yeah, they're gimmies.
Yeah, they're gimmies, bro. But I know it doesn't. I get you. You make perfect sense. That's why I get mad when we get so mad at them for missing their free throws. But I'll be like, dang. When you look at the score at the end, let's say we lose, and you be like, dang, man, we lost by 6 points, and you miss 8 free throws, you be like, that's where it comes in. Doesn't mean you would have won. It's just you would have had 8 more points. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look, earlier today, I was sitting here like, do I write my scouting report before the game plays? And I write 2 scouting reports, right?
Wow.
Now, these scouting reports are about 3,500 words long. They've got video clips and everything. They take hours, dude. So I'm like, no. But I started writing the Cavs one anyway. And then I got about a third of the way through and I stopped. And then the Cavs won. I'm like, dude, I should have just wrote that shit and sent it out straight away. Because it would have popped, right?
Yeah,
and then,
absolutely.
But then I'm like, dude, if I'd wrote it, there's no guarantee the Cavs would have won. Anything could have happened in that game. You know what I mean? And I feel the same way about the free throws. Just because you missed 8, if you'd made them, would the other team have adjusted earlier? Would they have found a different way? Right.
That's what I was trying to say. Like you don't know
butterfly effects.
Right. There you go. You don't know if the script would have been the same had he made those free throws. It's just got to tell you what. Just make free throws. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and this is what I love about Tatum. Tatum's getting to the line. I know he's not getting to the line as much as he wants, but god dang it, he's getting to the line more than we've ever seen any Boston Celtic player get to the line since back in the day. Like literally, he's getting to the line. He's like, I think he's finally starting to get a little bit of the Paul Pierce treatment. Like right now, I feel like that's the tier he's entering. He's not entering that Michael Jordan tier yet, but he's definitely entering that Paul Pierce where they're starting to, give him these fouls. Just got to hit your free throws. You just got to hit them. I think that would solve everything else. It'll erase butterfly effects. People won't feel weird in their stomach. It'll just just make free throws. That's all I'm gonna say. But back to Jaylen Brown, I would love to see that. And as long as he can keep himself out of foul trouble, because we're gonna get the rotation of the NBA officials. We're gonna get the butthole ones, and it's gonna be tough. And it don't matter whether we play in Boston or not. It's just what it is. So if he can find a way to stay out of foul trouble, and if Coach Mazzulla can rotate that early. But here's what I do like. I like you could put Drew on him as well, because I think Drew has more of that body type that I feel like can wear Donovan Mitchell down a little bit. Just putting a little lean body on him, I think it can wear him down just a little bit more. But it's gonna be really good matchups, man. And like I said, I'm expecting Donovan Mitchell to play the most. I'm expecting him to have the most impact for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I know that the Boston Celtics expect that as well. It's all about, again, limiting the rest of the team.
So the question now is, who do you think Tatum picks up on defense?
So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, that's a good. Like, is it gonna be? Is it Strus? Is it like?
And this is why it's like, damn, did they just go double big and have Luke pick up Mobley, Al pick up Allen, Tatum pick up Strus? Then you've got but then who do you drop out of that rotation, right? Are you trying to bring? Are you not bringing Drew or D White off the bench? You're not bringing. It's hard, man.
I talked about going double big. But then that means does that mean that Tatum is going to rotate on the 4? Tatum's going to be on the 4, like one of the centers. I mean,
which will be Mobley, because Mobley plays the 4. And
but I like that they did this. They did that with Bam. You saw it with Bam. You saw if Tatum was defending Bam and they switched him to the 5, and Tatum was able to defend that. Like, I kind of like the energetic Mobley with the smooth and swift type of Tatum that I think will be able to get into his airspace and limit his game a little bit, right? Because if Mobley's not going off, that's good, right? Like, you're limiting points from their big.
They put Mobley in the corner a lot. to
They
stretch,
do.
yeah, to stretch out the defense, right? So
But
they'll
that's why
put,
you want Tatum there with the long arms. He
yeah.
gets that's where he gets his tip passes. He can play those lanes, right? Get the intercepts, and I think it will affect Mobley's shot. Now, who's rebounding? You're,
Well, that's where you're going to be like, well,
okay, there we
we
go.
got two bigs on the floor, right? We got Horford and like it's
Now,
tough, right? Like
yeah, now
Horford's
we're
going to have
talking.
to rebound, box out, and then Cornette's going to have to put in some work on the glass because he's 7 foot, and Brown's going to have to be there. Tatum's going to have to rotate. It's tough, man.
It's
But
tough.
this team under Brad Stevens, most of this core was there for the Brad Stevens era, right? And it
Good
was
point.
rebound by committee. So you just go back to that mentality. If you're putting Tatum on Mobley in the corner as a helper, which is where he's always a help defender in that weak side corner anyway. And he usually rotates over to help. So when he rotates over, he usually gets the board anyway. So his defensive role doesn't change. It's just how willing he is to help off of someone like Mobley that has the size to be a lob threat as they shade across the baseline after Tatum helps. So I think he'd still be a defensive rebounding threat. I just think that he'd have to have his attention more on where Mobley is in terms of once Tatum rotates over to provide help, then positioning himself to get a rebound. It's going to be like a balancing act. But this team's been rebounding by committee for what, 5, 6,
Yeah,
7,
6 years.
8 years? You know what I mean? Like I'm very comfortable with them doing that.
Okay. It was just a question that I just thought to pop up because
No, it's a
Tatum's
good question. You made me
one of your
think.
good rebounders as well, right? And so we have really good rebounding guards as well. You know what I'm saying? But if we're taking one of these guards off the floor and going with the double big, and plus I want to see Jaylen Brown flying down the court. Hey, get as many easy buckets in transition as you can. That's kind of part of what the Celtics game is, and they won't be stopped. Like it's almost hard to stop them. So, look, I guarantee you they're gonna have some type of tricks and wrinkles up their sleeve. Celtics need to start off 2-0. That let's just staple that. Start off 2-0, go on the road, and go 2-0 again, and just end the series. This should be a 4-0 series.
I like coming in. So coming into the last series, the Celtics should go 2-0, then 2. They just need to sweep the series.
just sweep it. Just get past this and get ready for Knicks or Pacers. Like that. That's what they should do. Like straight.
I
up.
like coming into this series. The last series, it was like, yeah, Boston have the better team, but the one advantage Miami has, as
Coaching.
you mentioned earlier, was Coach Spo is a huge coaching advantage, and that's a matchup. As much as people want to say it's not, coaching is a matchup. It's the systems, the adjustments, the game-to-game adjustments and in-game adjustments are very different. You could be great at one and bad at another, and both can win or lose you a game. Spo's just a different level of coach than pretty much any other coach in the NBA right now. That's why he's the best. There's a tier above.
I agree. Do you feel like he's in the Phil Jackson tier, those tiers of coaching?
Yeah, I do, but not for the same reasons, right? So, like, the Phil Jackson tier is like, guys got 1 million rings. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the Popovich tier, maybe.
Maybe. I think Popovich is longevity plus
success.
Success plus innovation.
I
think that Spo's getting towards that level. Obviously, there's still a long time for him to reach that longevity, but the success he consistently has with subpar rosters, like,
I agree.
I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, right? Spo and Pop's done that for a long time, and that's the only thing that puts Pop above him in terms of like coaching talent. But I think that Spo's the better coach right now because he's more modern, he's more innovative. I think like it's a throw up, right? You've got Pop, you've got Spo. Realistically, you should put Steve Kerr in there. Maybe you want to throw Chris Finch in there. I don't know. There's a couple of high-level coaches coming in, but Missoula was definitely outmatched in that series. In that sense, this series, there is not one advantage anywhere that you can give to Cleveland. Maybe you say that Mitchell's an advantage over Drew or Mitchell's an advantage over D. White, but is he in terms of two-way play? Like, I look at everything as a whole, right? I'm like,
we ain't even get to that part yet. Them being able to defend. Yeah. That's the key. Like that's why I said the Celtics just need to come out and play their brand of basketball, dictate, create the script, and make then make the adjustments. And that to me is where it's gonna get tough because how are you defending? You talked about it. 1 for 8. There's 8 people that can splash in their face. So how are you gonna defend that? Plus, we also like to get to the rim. We watched the adjustments being made. I didn't think we were gonna. Let me ask you this question. Did you think we were gonna attack the rim like that against the Miami Heat with Bam on the floor? I didn't. I watched Bam get dunked on not once, but twice by a point guard. You can't tell me that they weren't trying to really set the tone. After that beating, that somebody told me that sent them a message. My boy said, I think that woke up Boston just getting beat because they knew they weren't supposed to get beat.
Yeah.
And that woke them up. It definitely did because Derek White came to life like the next game or 2 games after that, where it was like, oh snap! And that's the difference. How are they going to defend? They're not a great defending team. They're not great at defending the three. Boston is putting up 40 plus threes this whole series every night. I guarantee you they're going to take the shots. Now, if we're not making those shots, I expect to see Boston adjust, find other ways to score, get creative, run some plays, call some timeouts, fix that up. But they still have to defend a top scoring 3-point shooting team as well as a top scoring team in the NBA. And to me, that especially without having Jared Allen out there, that's going to be a problem.
Well, that's where everything changes, right? Like regular season, the Cavs were 7th in the NBA for defensive rating, holding teams to 112.1 points per 100. In the playoffs, they're 4th, right behind the Celtics, and they are holding teams to 104.9. Now, obviously, that's a much smaller sample size. It's 7 games, and it was against Orlando. So, I mean, no disrespect to Orlando, but
I'm glad you put the context
we're talking about a completely different level of offense that you're coming in to face now. So that defensive rating is going to go down for you in terms of the next few games in the playoffs. Jarrett Allen changes everything for them. And we mentioned this at the beginning of the show, the rim protection, the explosiveness. He's quite mobile on his feet. Like he plays a good drop defense. I like to call it like a shuttle roll where he can drop and he can shuttle back to be deep in drop if you're driving. And he can shuttle up to kind of adjust his pickup point if there's a player like D White that can hit right-handed floaters, right? If D White comes over on the right and starts penetrating, he'll shuttle up to take away that floater space. So Allen gives you a lot. And Mobley gives you some of that too, but I just don't think he has the footwork to be like. I feel like you can cook Mobley and kind of have him trailing the play a lot easier than what you can JA. And that's a big thing for me. I think Mobley's got the size to recover quickly.
Okay,
I think he can get beat easier than what Jarrett Allen can off the dribble. I think you can crack Mobley off the dribble, where I think it's a bit tougher to get that on JA.
Yeah, because when you got Allen is literally what he is. He's like the perfect like mixture of the last of the old school centers and this new wave of centers. He's not going to splash threes. He's not stretching you out. He's got a damn good kind of like short mid-range shot that always goes in. And he's protecting that rim and he's changing the trajectory of the guys getting to the paint. But my question to you is, can't they wear him out somewhat, some way? He's not as athletic as some of the bigs that the Celtics have seen all season, especially not as athletic as Bam. Bam was always going to be a threat.
Yeah,
more not from the close shot around the rim opposed to more the mid range. But you knew Bam was going to shoot the floaters, shoot that little shot. He was looking for that. You're not going to get that from Jared Allen. Jared Allen's going to be looking to get the board, kick it out. Now, if he has nobody there to defend him, obviously, if he's taller than the guy, he's going to try to bang on him. But again, health. If his health isn't 100%, and he's already not the athletic big that the Celtics are used to struggling against, what is he really going to be able to do? Can't we find ways to wear him out, take him out of the plays?
Yeah, I mean, he's a rim runner, right? So he's going to get, as you said, get the board, kick it out, and then run. And he's going to run a lot. So if you play, and I said this on a different episode, but I'll just reiterate it for anyone new that's watching. If you play at a higher tempo, now I class pace as decision making. Pace is how quickly did you get the ball out of your hands? How quickly did you decide whether you're going to pass, dribble, or shoot? That's what I call playing at a high pace. If you play at a high tempo, how many times do you get up and down the floor? How many possessions are there? That's all. If Boston play at a high tempo, then Allen has more possessions where he's sprinting end to end, both times, right? He's sprinting from defense to offense, from offense to defense, and you can wear him out that way. I also think Boston do a really good job of tagging rollmen, which means after the pick and roll, when the big man's rolling, you send someone over to kind of just nudge him, bump him, pick him up higher up the floor, force him into mid post actions, take away that lob threat. If you make Allen work for things in that dunker spot and you take away the lob pass, he's got to bang more. He's got to use more physicality. He's got to use his size. He's got to lean into footwork a bit more. And that stuff, like over the course of a series, especially when you're coming into this nowhere near 100% anyway, that's going to suck some of the energy out of you. Now, if you put Mobley there, that's different. Now we start to see more of a BAM-centric offense in terms of you can use Mobley as a perimeter hub and he can initiate with DHOs. He can be a screener. He can be a screen and pop guy because he can hit the free.
He can hit the free,
and
yep.
You can run elbow sets off him, throw it in on the elbow and a chase action. He can hand it back. So there's a lot you can do with Mobley there, which I think they might try and do just because you don't have Porzingis, right? And that's the other swing factor in this series,
yes.
which I want to kind of touch on just before we wrap up, is like, you're coming up against a team that's one of the bigger teams in the league outside of like Minnesota, and your best big is not going to be on the floor. And that sucks.
It does suck.
Because you lose that rim protection a little bit. You know, teams are driving in. You've got to ask KP's not there to protect the rim. I think he was one of the better rim protectors in the league this season. Without KP there, well, now you are leaning on an Al Horford who's more of an angle. He defends angles, right? He takes away driving lanes. He takes away footwork. He takes away body positioning, and he forces you to kind of attack a bit higher away from the basket. That could be good, but it could also be bad, right? Especially when you've got explosive guards that can drive past him, force him to kind of chase them, and then they can just wrap around pass to a JA or a Mobley. So without Porzingis there, I do think that rim protection is weaker, and Boston are more susceptible to playing against a big team that's got some explosiveness at the rim.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like you definitely lose the rim protection, the block shots, and the stretching. I mean, yeah, the stretching from the 3-point line. Like I think my game when you have Porzingis out there is like you have to defend him. You can't put a little guy out there because he can shoot over him. So you have to rotate your big out there. And when you do that, he's a great passer. So like you're missing a lot of elements from, the Boston Celtics basketball like mecca of what they want to do, like from their system, like without him on the court. And it doesn't mean they can't get it done. It just they have to figure out a different way. And I think I would say the benefit of him not being there from the last couple of games is you saw how dominant Boston can be against the team with a predominantly one of the top centers in the NBA and Bam Adebayo with Luke Cornett and them rotating Al Horford, Luke Cornett, and Tillman. They were rotating, like they were getting some nice little rotation in there. I think Missoula is gonna have to definitely use that game plan and figure out like who can take advantage of the matchup when it comes to having a Evan Mobley, a Jarrett Allen. They're gonna rotate. They're gonna try to get Tristan Thompson some type of minutes in there because they're going to try to keep their bigs free and fresh as well. Again, I don't think Jarrett Allen. I don't know if he's gonna play game one, but again, that's up in the air. We'll figure that out. But if he's out there, you prepare for Jarrett Allen. They just have to figure that portion out. Try to keep him away from the rim as much as they can. And this is the best time for Celtics to use the ball movement theory that they've been using all damn season long. Just keep moving that ball. I don't care if he stays in that paint. There's going to be a shooter wide open. And they just got to knock down their shots. They knock down their shots. It makes them change the way they play defense. And that's why I said the Celtics have to dictate what happens in this series, especially without a guy like Porzingis, where you could kind of lean on him doing his job. Al Horford can do some of that, but he's not going to get you the long reach block shots. Guys trying to float the ball over him. Nah, that's not Al's game. So it's going to be a little different, but the Celtics just got to figure out how to make the adjustment, stick to it. If it's working, if not, find a way to minorly adjust it in the game. Either way, they got to get the shit done. Like, they just got to figure it out.
That's the thing, right? Like you no matter who you face, no matter what they've got over you in terms of advantages, no matter what advantages you've got over them, once that ball gets tipped, everybody has a chance to win, right?
Bingo.
You can get out hustled, you can get out worked, you can get out schemed, and you're more susceptible to that early in the series than you are later once you've got some additional data points. It's easy to be like, oh, I've got data because we watched them play Orlando. Yeah, but dude, Orlando don't play the way you play. So you have some data to take from it, but there's also stuff that you need to build through playing this team in a postseason setting. We're going to learn more. They play on Tuesday. I've got a tooth extraction Wednesday, so I'll probably be doing a podcast later in the day, but I'll probably because my face is going to be all wired up and whatever. I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh no.
Wayne, man, I appreciate you joining me, man. We're definitely going to do this again. I'm happy to have you back on the show as we start to build up a new subscriber base. Everybody, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. The link to the newsletters in the bio. Check that out too. Subscribe. There's 2 tiers: a free version and a paid version. Paid version gets an article every day, pretty much. Few days off here and there. Free version gets 1 or 2 articles a week. And Wayne, man, where can everyone find you?
Hey man, at the Wayne Breezy, we bring you NFL, NBA content. Got to get Adam on the Celtics Green podcast at some point during these playoffs. I'd love to hear your breakdowns and stuff like that, man. You are so on point, man. Appreciate the opportunity. Until the next time.
Peace.